Can you remember a time when you were really, really sick? So sick that you thought you were going to die. You might have been vomiting so much that you could keep nothing down, or had terrible diarrhea and really, really thought you were never going to feel better, that you were going to die. And then somebody made you a bowl of soup or broth, and you were able to eat it, and you started to feel a little better, and then you ate a few more bites, and all of a sudden there was a little light, and it felt like, okay, maybe I am going to get through this. And you held it down and you recovered. So I'm here to talk to you about the scientific reason of why that bowl of soup or broth made you feel better. I'm Dr. Katrina Coulter, and I'm an infectious disease specialist, and I make educational health videos because I am really concerned about the overall health of our nation. I am seeing more and more chronic diseases and illnesses in a younger and younger population, and I know it has everything to do with our diet. So instead of telling you what you can't eat or what you shouldn't be eating, I'm making these videos to show you what you could be eating. And spoiler alert, these are foods that have been around for a while, and they're usually pretty cheap. So instead of eating those processed foods, I'm trying to convince you to eat whole foods and hack your health. If this resonates with you, please subscribe or like the video or share it with somebody you know that you think could benefit from this information. So if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, I absolutely respect that. We are going to talk about bone broth today, and I do encourage you to stay tuned and keep watching, because you may find out some information that you didn't know, or something that could be helpful to someone else in your life. Bone broth is simply that. It is a watery substance that is made using animal bones. So no animals are ever harvested or grown just for the bones. This is a waste product. So this is something that would normally be thrown away, but if you're utilizing the entire animal, you use the bones and you make bone broth. It's really cheap. It's made from a leftover product. Bone broth is a superfood, and that's because it has so many health benefits that it really is hitting multiple aspects of your body. Let's dive into that. Bone broth is full of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. One of the key nutrients that we're going to talk about is collagen. It's one of the very few foods that are really rich in collagen. We don't get this from a ton of other sources. Collagen is a protein that's utilized in connective tissues throughout our bodies. So think of joints, skin, lips, all the connective tissues. So back to the beginning, why you felt so good when you had that bowl of soup, or why it turned that corner for you. Bone broth is a warm liquid, so it's soothing on a sore throat, or when you have congestion, it really kind of helps. It also is a great source of hydration, and so it contains a lot of electrolytes. And usually in that situation, when you've been having a fever or vomiting or having terrible diarrhea, you are very dehydrated and depleted. And so it's a mega boost of electrolytes and fluid all of a sudden in your body in a concentration that it can accept. Why can it accept it so well? Back to that collagen. So that collagen really nourishes the lining of the GI tract. The GI tract is lined by a nice mucus layer that helps keep bacteria on one side and the blood vessels and other tissues on the other side. And this collagen forms a gelatin that really hydrates and nourishes this gut lining layer. And it also helps heal it, especially when it's really inflamed from having profuse diarrhea. There's also a lot of amino acids in bone broth, such as proline, glycine, and glutamine. And the glutamine especially is an anti-inflammatory, so it can help calm down that inflamed gut lining. So all those GI symptoms that you had, it's like suddenly you've smoothed this calming balm on them with bone broth. Bone broth also has a ton of health benefits, even if you're not sick with a cold or the flu. Bone broth is a great tool to use if you are trying to manage your weight. And that's because it's low in calories, but it's high in protein and other nutrients. And again, it has that water content. And so it makes you feel full and it curbs your appetite, and you can use it as a meal replacement. I really enjoy bone broth on a cold winter morning as my breakfast. I'll just heat up a mug of that in the microwave, and it's wonderful. It's better than coffee sometimes. Bone broth is also fantastic for your skin health. So again, we're going back to the collagen and the nutrients and the water content. That collagen actually will help reduce wrinkles. And when I think of collagen, I think of like nice plump lips, and that's exactly one of the places where you will find collagen. And so it will make you look younger. If you want to be young forever, you need to get a lot of bone broth into your diet. The other area that it's really going to help kind of anti-aging or recovery from wear and tear is in your joints, where again, we see a lot of that collagen. And so it helps with joint repair and it helps maintain those healthy joints. It also helps with muscle recovery. And so a glass or a bottle of bone broth is a great sports drink, especially after a workout, because you're getting all these nutrients, electrolytes, amino acids, all the things that your tired, damaged muscles need without all the sugar. And so bone health is a big thing that we get from bone broth. So think about it. These are bones. We're making it from bones sitting in water, leaching out nutrients. These nutrients are directly available then to our bones in their broken down form, where our body can readily absorb them and quickly incorporate them into these bone and joint spaces, as well as into the muscles. So it's better than any sports drink you're going to get on the market, and it's going to be cheaper. It also helps with your immune health with all these minerals such as zinc and iron, manganese. You've got your sodium, potassium, phosphorus. And so these are really going to help your metabolic and immune function. So bone broth is super easy to make, and it's really cheap because it's a waste product. So it's something you already had that you were going to throw in the trash can. Now you can get a free health drink out of it. So what I do after I cook a chicken, for example, I'll take all the bones out, I'll throw those in a stock pot, fill that stock pot with water, throw in some vegetables. Sometimes the leftover ends of the onions or the celery or the carrots or other vegetables that are wilting in my refrigerator that need to be used. Sometimes even I'll save those leftover parts in my freezer for the next time I make bone broth. Then I add some spices, maybe some garlic in there, cover it with a lid and let it simmer. For chicken broth, I let it go for at least 4 hours, but the longer you let it go, the more you're going to leach nutrients. When I make beef bone broth, I let it go for at least 8 to 10 hours. So it's a little bit of a commitment, just in that you're going to have your stove on, but it's not like you have to babysit it all day. You just set it and forget it, and then later you strain out all that stuff and you have just the broth left over, and you can save it in the fridge, or I freeze it because I usually make it in pretty big batches. And maybe you don't like just drinking it. My kids certainly don't love to drink bone broth, so I sneak it into foods. So things like when I make rice, I substitute the bone broth for water, or I will make beans in it, or I'll add it to soups. I'll boil potatoes in it to make mashed potatoes. So they're all kind of being hyper enhanced by these nutrients.
Now, if you can buy bone broth as well from the grocery store, it is a little bit more expensive if you're purchasing it that way, but there's a ton of ways you can use it. It's so good for you. Why would you not be drinking or adding bone broth to your diet? So if you found that helpful, again, hit the like or subscribe button or leave me comments of other topics you would like me to address.